Financial Review, Anzac Bumper Edition.
Joe Hockey headline TK here. 3 lines to come here.
Budget speech story to run here.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And what an exciting read that bumper issue of the Fin promised to be. 16,000 lucky readers in Perth and WA who got the paper last Thursday were greeted with missing headlines, empty spaces, spelling mistakes, and multiple X's on the front page. But at least they scored some candid comments on Australia's $12.5 billion joint strike fighter deal.
Arms build-up, buys planes, world is f***ed.
Over on the East Coast, where the Fin rolls off the presses somewhat later, they fixed up that front page before pressing the print button. A wise move. But in some papers there was still a costly error. The crucial barcode was missing.
When Dr Mumbo attempted to hand over his $3.50 in Woolies this morning, he was told that as it couldn't be scanned, he could have it for free.
So, how on earth could they stuff up so badly? The Fin's editor, Michael Stutchbury, who apologised deeply to readers in the West, is still trying to figure that out and make sure it never happens again. But he told Media Watch,
Our initial assessment is that the error began when Financial Review production staff in Sydney pressed a wrong button early yesterday afternoon that sent a clearly unfinished version of the front page to print sites around the country. This error was quickly recognised and the page was recalled from all the print sites. For whatever reason, the recalling of the unfinished page did not succeed at the Perth plant.
But doesn't anyone at the Fin read the paper once it's been printed? It's not that boring, is it? Perhaps the cock-up went unnoticed because everyone was in holiday mood, first with Easter and then with Anzac Day. And that must surely be the reason why there has been absolutely nothing in the news except for this.
Fasten your seatbelts, the Cambridge Express is all systems go.
They'd already said kia ora to the Kiwis. Now it was Australia's turn for a royal g'day.
Kate and William leaving the Opera House.
The Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, visited a short time ago. 3 sisters, 2 royals.
These are live pictures coming to us from Taronga Zoo.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are tonight in the heart of Australia.
South Australian locals may have discovered her secret hidden talent yesterday.
And with that, their royal duties are done.
It is goodbye to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Prince George.
Even running the tapes on Fast Forward, we've seen enough TV royal coverage recently to last a lifetime. According to Media Monitor's iSentia, there have been more than 30,000 separate TV reports. Newspapers also fell for the Duke and Duchess, with no less than 25 front pages in the big city dailies in just 10 days. Indeed, from the moment the royal couple touched down in Australia, the pundits were zeroing in, sometimes a little too close.
She had the hat, she had the hair, she had the skirt, and of course she had young George, who at 8 months old is quite the wriggler, it would seem. And
oh, hang on a second, stop it.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that, boys.
Director.
Stop that.
A little intrusive, perhaps, but that puff of wind was a pretty big event, because in all the hours and hours of coverage, there was really very little happening. Especially on Channel 7, where viewers were promised that not a minute of the 10-day Australian tour would be lost.
It's never happened before. A first for the Royals, a first for Australia. That's why 7 will have every picture, every moment, from every step the Royals take.
If you're watching 7, you won't miss a thing.
And every step of the way, 7 was there, with up to 7 hours a day of live rolling coverage, followed up with special slots on the nightly news. And every day they went on and on about Kate's outfits.
Tell us, what has she decided to wear today?
It's all we talk about. Within the next 10 days, Mark, you are going to be a fashion expert. So today she's wearing a little black and white DVF wrap dress.
Even Australia's more serious TV journalists, like 10's Hugh Rivington, were roped into this daily catwalk commentary and copycat culture.
Diane von Furstenberg, Roxanda Ilinchich, they are hard names to say, but they are easy clothes to wear, apparently. People in the know have been gazing lovingly at the Duchess of Cambridge's outfits. She's been known to step out in plain old Zara as well, so we're told. But anyway, at the insistence of some of my colleagues here on the Late News, here is another look at Kate's look. Believe me, I have a gun to my head as I deliver all of this stuff. We wish you a safe and happy Easter break. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend.
Covering this royal tour were no less than 500 accredited journalists from Australia, Britain, America and even France. And most of the time, most of them led with the same so-called story.
As usual, the princess's outfits are causing a fashion frenzy.
Touchdown! We've got all of Kate's most stylish outfits.
Throughout her tour, the Duchess wore variations of her favorite silhouettes, sheaths with sleeves or coat dresses with full skirts.
Some of the outfits Kate wore sold out online within minutes of her appearance. But it wasn't just the future Queen whose clothes set cash registers ringing.
Melbourne baby fashion labels have had rush on a clothes fit for a little king, with Prince George a trendsetter among tots.
Romper suit, which looks just like one William once wore, sells out instantly and now has waiting list of 2 months.
The tour was a fabulous ad for a few lucky designers, but it was even better PR for royalty itself. And with these newer, younger royals playing their parts so well, we can probably kiss that republic goodbye. As the Sunday Telly's Claire Harvey confessed,
I am embarrassed to admit this, given that I'm supposed to be an ardent Republican, but I'm really looking forward to King William V and Queen Catherine. On present form, King George VII looks like a monarch worth waiting for too.
She could be waiting 50 years for that. Now, it's lucky that while all this was happening, there was practically nothing else going on in the world. At least, nothing being reported. But maybe that's because all our journalists and TV crews were so busy royal watching. In Ukraine, teetering on the edge of war, there was just one Australian journalist. And in South Sudan, where millions may now face famine, there were none at all. But the ABC, which has one correspondent to cover all of Africa, was able to file a report from neighbouring Kenya.
The world's youngest country has descended into civil war. The conflict has been broiling since December, but in recent days the violence has become atrocities. In the northern town of Bentiu, hundreds of men, women and children have been murdered.
Who knows what other stories the media failed to focus on? But who cares, I hear you say? It's only Africa, right? Over in China, the ABC was also busy. But there, it was not just reporting the news, it was also making it.
ABC wins unprecedented access in landmark Chinese deal.
That so-called landmark deal with the Shanghai Media Group will supposedly allow ABC International to broadcast programs online to more than 1 billion Chinese viewers. And while some have raised doubts, it's been described by one veteran media player, Harold Mitchell, as
one of the most important breakthroughs in communications between our countries.
10 days before the deal's announcement, Q&A was broadcast for the first time ever live from Shanghai. So, does it mean that the great firewall of China will now come tumbling down? Well, probably not. Indeed, some say controls on foreign media are tightening. The BBC has had its radio transmissions jammed, and CNN regularly has its TV broadcasts blacked out.
It's rare you see censorship in real time happening. Again, on the side bottom of our screen there, you can see us being censored right now in China. It's kind of surreal.
In the last 6 months, the New York Times, Reuters, Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal and The Guardian have also had their websites blocked after critical reports on China or its leaders. Meanwhile, reporters who covered the trial in January of activist Xu Zhiyong were barred from the court and harassed by police.
They put up banners. Those banners were quickly torn down. They were then asked to get in police vans or taken into police vans, and from there they were taken away. And you could see a gentleman here from the police is actually trying to stop us from doing what we're doing now. This is... I hope you can still see us. We'll move back a bit so I can try and explain the backgrounds to the story.
Recently, Western reporters in China have also had visas refused. In 2012, Melissa Chan became the first journalist to be expelled in more than a decade after Al Jazeera English reported on secret detention centres, prison labour and state-sponsored slavery. Paul Mooney, a long-time China hand hired by Reuters, had his visa refused last November, thanks, he believes, to his reports on human rights in Tibet and Xinjiang. And 3 New York Times journalists, including the new Beijing bureau chief Philip Pan, have been denied visas since late 2012, when the paper published an investigation into China's then Prime Minister, Wen Jiabao.
Billions in hidden riches for family of Chinese leader.
So, does this pressure have any effect? Well, almost certainly yes. And the clearest example comes from America's Bloomberg, which has dug even deeper than the New York Times into top-level Chinese corruption. Back in 2012, Bloomberg published a devastating series entitled Revolution to Riches.
Revolution to Riches lifts the veil of secrecy on China's princelings, an elite class that has been able to amass wealth and influence because of their bloodline.
Xi Jinping millionaire relations reveal fortunes of elite.
It was powerful stuff involving the man who's now become China's president. And when Bloomberg ignored pleas not to run it, revenge was swift. Bloomberg's website in China was blocked and sales of its financial terminals, which generate 80% of the group's revenue, dived. Even so, Bloomberg commissioned a follow-up to map Chinese leaders' links to one of the nation's richest men, Wang Jianling. Then, in October 2013, after 4 journalists had spent nearly a year on the investigation, that story was spiked. Allegedly after Bloomberg's chairman Peter Grauer told them why it was being killed.
He said that the guys in sales had just spent 6 months digging us out of the shit. The implication was that if we ran anything else like it, we'd be right back in the shit again.
Bloomberg denied the story had been buried, but 6 months later, it has still not seen the light of day. Meanwhile, 2 Bloomberg editors and 1 reporter involved in the investigation have quit, with the latest defector, Ben Richardson, making it clear last month why he did so.
I left Bloomberg because of the way the story was mishandled, and because of how the company made misleading statements in the global press and senior executives disparaged the team that worked so hard to execute an incredibly demanding story.
A few days earlier, Bloomberg's chairman had appeared to admit that the company needs to tread more carefully in China to protect the financial side of its business.
We have about 50 journalists in the market, primarily writing stories about the local business and economic environment. Every once in a while, we wander a little bit away from that and write stories that we probably may have kind of should have rethought.
Not all have as much at stake as Bloomberg does. But most foreign media groups are keen to crack the huge Chinese market, and that makes them vulnerable to pressure. So, will the ABC deal make it more difficult for the ABC to do its job properly? The ABC says no, and so does its feisty China correspondent Stephen McDonnell, who has already had some famous run-ins with the authorities.
We decide to go up and ask these agents why they've been following us. On this day, they're waiting for us in the foyer of our hotel like they have been every day.
There's no question that some things in China are very hard to report on, and high-level corruption would certainly be one. But in trying to push back those limits, we should also remember how far press freedom in China has come, as former CNN reporter Mei Yan told Q&A 3 weeks ago.
In the last 30 years, all of us have witnessed a tremendous sea change in the Chinese media landscape. The fact that we are sitting here doing this live broadcast itself is the best proof that China has changed, transformed completely.
And you are free to read more about all these stories on our website, where you can also get a transcript and download the programme. And you can catch up with us on iView and contact me or MediaWatch on Twitter. But until next week, that's all from us. Goodbye.